Hello and welcome to this r/I don't work here lady where a customer mistakes a police dispatcher for a Target employee. The first story is from the Reddit user WiggyItLoose. Douchebagette didn't like my answers to her questions even though I was relentlessly honest. I'm telling you about one event but I must have a retail face because I'm approached so often. I wear a suit at work. When I call in at any shop on the way home I leave my jacket in the car so I'm just wearing a shirt and tie. I couldn't tell you how many times people assume I am staff. If they're civil, I'm civil. If they're struggling, I'm helpful. If they're rude, I have fun. The reason I remember this one is because I've said all of these things separately before but this was the first time I got them all squeezed into one single interaction. It just went so perfectly. It will never happen again. I had called into a large supermarket to pick up birthday candles. I first saw the woman being very rude to another customer for no apparent reason. Imagine Rush Limbaugh in drag. Sorry to put that in your head. She was just impatient and the other customer wasn't moving fast enough for her liking so she was insulting her. She definitely ranked above asshole so let's call her douchebagette or DB for short. As she turned I saw the missile lock in her eyes as she spotted me. She glumped her way over. I decided to enjoy it and settled on being deadpan literal as a plan. I looked away. DB, excuse me. Me, why, what have you done? What? She paused for a second looking like a dog that had been shown a card trick. Then angrily asked. DB, can you help me? Me, I couldn't possibly know. I don't know what you want. She makes a Tucker Carlson face. DB, where do you keep your eyelash curlers? Me, I don't keep them anywhere. Yes, you do. I've seen them before. I'm certain I don't. I've never owned any. My eyelashes manage to bend all on their own. I'm more than happy with the bendiness of my eyelashes. Huh? What? No, idiot, I mean the shop. Where in the shop are the eyelash curlers? I haven't got a clue. Why not? I refer you to my previous answer. I never use them. Arg. Are you trying to be stupid? No, it's effortless. This is insane. Are you going to find out where the eyelash curlers are, or would you prefer that I speak to your manager? I'd say neither but if I had to choose I'd go for option B. What? You want me to speak to your manager? No. She shakes her head in angry confusion and says. You just said you did. No, I didn't. You asked me which I'd prefer. If I was offered a rectal exam or a slap in the face I don't want either but I'd prefer the second to the first. See how it works? This is a phrase I use with my wife when she gives me shitty alternatives. She stood in silence for a few seconds with her mouth open and the deepest frown. She then built up to a shout with, dash. This is ridiculous. I completely agree. Where's your manager? I'm not exactly sure but my guess would be at home with his family. Arg. You're being stupid. Who supervises you here in this store right now? She actually stamped her foot twice when she shouted right now. Nobody. What? Why not? Because I don't need to be supervised. I haven't needed supervision in a shop since I was about 9 years old. Oh my god, it's like talking to the wall. I could see that her shouting had attracted a member of management. She was approaching quickly. Why aren't you helping me? Why would I? I think I saw a slight hint of understanding spread across her puzzled face. You do work here, don't you? No. Why didn't you say so? You didn't ask me. Until now. The manager arrived just as douchebagette shouted into my face. You're a moron. Manager to DB, madam, please lower your voice and stop swearing. There are children in the store. Manager to me, what's happening sir? Me, I'm not really sure. This woman was being rude to another customer then she approached me and started to interrogate me about my personal grooming habits. She wasn't happy with my answers and started to spit out at me. DB, no, that's not fucking true. I was shouting because I thought he worked here. Manager, whether he was an employee or not you can't talk like that. You can't abuse customers and we have a strict policy about abuse towards staff. We don't tolerate it. It's not my fault. He's a effing idiot. If he had. She was interrupted by the manager. Please, stop shouting. The manager pressed transmit on her radio and said. Security, urgent, code 4, all 14. Manager to me, are you okay sir? Me, yes I'm fine I just needed birthday candles. Could you tell me where they are? DB, what the effing hell is goy? Manager to DB, stop shouting. Stop swearing. If I have to warn you again, you will have to leave the store. Manager to me, they're on aisle 22. Me, okay. Thank you. I started to walk away. Meanwhile, DB was still shouting. Two security staff turned the corner and passed me on their way to DB. I could hear her shouting for another 30 seconds. The next time I saw DB, I was standing at the self-checkout. She was being followed out of the store by the security staff. She was complaining into her phone, loudly but unclearly, about the shop, the staff and some effing moron as she left empty-handed. Do you think that moron was me? I was wishing so hard for her to look left and see me, but she didn't. If she had shouted at me, regardless of what she said, I was going to raise my little box of candles and say yes thanks, I found them. The whole thing was so funny. I almost broke and nearly started laughing when she stamped her foot in time with "right now." I've been mistaken for staff dozens of times, but I've never had it go so perfectly. Probably never will. Don't expect a sequel. The next story is from the Reddit user SaucyB583. No, I am not staff, and no, you can't crash my dad's wedding. About a year ago my dad was getting married. As it was his second wedding, he did not want it to be a huge event, and neither did his fiancée. Thus, they decided to have their wedding with just 17 guests at the bookstore where they met. It was so cute I wanted to throw up. He asked me and my sisters to guide the other guests to the room where the ceremony would be held since we were there early to set up. The bookstore was something of a maze, as bookstores often are. My dad's wedding was being held on the second floor, so my sisters and I were stationed at various places on the first floor leading to the stairs, which were hidden in a little corner in the back. My sisters and I were dressed up, but not wearing name tags or aprons like the people who actually worked at the bookstore. That did not stop a parade of people stopping by and asking where to find certain books. I don't know what it was about my appearance in particular, but most customers came to me instead of my sisters. I get that I was standing in a particular spot and that I could have looked like I was there to answer questions, but the staff were busy shelving books, dusting, making coffee, and generally being busy, so I would have been a pretty lousy staff member just standing around like that. One customer in particular approached me and asked if I knew where the painting that used to hang in the store was now. I answered that I did not work here and was simply guiding guests to the room where my dad's wedding was to be held. The man looked incredulous and asked me several more questions about the painting, including who the artist was, what the medium was, the size of the painting, and what the subject was. After I answered that I did not know any of those things, he was satisfied that I did not in fact work at the bookstore. He then proceeded to say how much he loved weddings, no matter who was getting married. He asked where the wedding was being held and if he could go take a peek. I answered that would be really weird, given that it's a private ceremony and my dad would probably appreciate it if he didn't. He laughed it off and said, well, I'll come by and crash the wedding later. I just love weddings so much. I practically begged him to not crash my dad's wedding, even just to watch, because there were so few guests that it would just be painfully awkward to have some random man smiling in the back. After a few moments of us going back and forth and him promising he'd be there whether we liked it or not, he finally agreed to leave the wedding alone. He stayed for a suspiciously long time in the bookstore, watching all the guests come in. He smiled ridiculously as my now stepmother walked in with her dress and headed upstairs, provoking her to ask me and my sisters, who was that creepy smiling guy standing around watching the entourage. We responded, he's just some guy who really likes weddings, and asked if he could crash yours. To her great relief, he did not show up at the ceremony. But the whole time I was worried about it. Sorry for being distracted during your wedding, Dad. The next story is from the Reddit user Hucklebuck13. First, my son is 12. He is about 5'10" and 190 pounds. He is taller than me. So pre-quarantine we went to Target. Not planning on being there. My son is in a red shirt. He is old enough and heavy enough kidnapping is not likely, so we let him go a few aisles over to the video games. Give it 5 to 10 minutes. A woman we will call Karen, because why not? Karen, you are not very helpful. Son, I'm sorry. Well, help me. I don't know how? About here I turn the corner and can see. Yes, he has a baby face, but could pass for 15-16-year-old. Where's the manager? I don't know. Karen, how long have you worked here? Son, I don't. Now I'm trying not to be seen and laughing. Call me a bad parent, but he is smiling and in no danger. Little Karen has the speak to the manager haircut and giant oversized purse. Why didn't you say so? You just started talking to me. I didn't want to be rude, but hi. Employee, can I help you? Son, please she. Karen, starts complaining. Son sees me laughing. He starts laughing realizing what happened. Employee sees me and him laughing and immediately figured it out. Karen looks more angry. I have to imagine this is normal for Target. Poor Target employee. Son explained it to the wife when we stopped giggling. The last story is from the Reddit user Sean J222. Lady, I work for the police, not Target. Want to share a story? Few years back I worked as a police dispatcher. We were required to dress in business casual. So caucus and a button-down or polo. I'm assuming you've read the title and see where this is going. So after work one day the GF and I stopped by Target on the way home to grab a few things. I'm wearing, you guessed it, a red polo with khaki pants. I also have an ID badge on my belt denoting communicator, Joe Schmo Police Department. Grabbed some olive oil, brought to my girlfriend who told me she got some a few days ago. So I go back to olive oil aisle and put it back. I put it back in its proper place because I'm not an inconsiderate a-hole. Anywho. Lady comes up to me and asks where she can find some brand dog food. I just thought she was asking for my opinion, gave her a general direction. She went off. Like 5 minutes later I'm looking at Harry's razors, and I feel someone poke me on my shoulder. I turn and find the lady standing there looking displeased. Lady, my dog food wasn't where you said it was. Me, well, I dunno. I guess ask someone who works here. I am, you. Nope, don't work here, turns and looks away. Yes you do. You were stocking shelves. Yeah, don't talk to me. Lady grabs my arms and pulls me to face her. You ever get a sudden flare of anger? I did. B touched me. Young man, I'm a customer and you'd better. Don't you effing touch me. My voice was a little raised now. Touch me again, you and I are going to have a problem. She was obviously taken aback. She said something about me being fired and a manger. She scurried away. I found my girlfriend and we went to check out. At this point it still hadn't really clicked that she thought I worked there. I just thought she was rude. We get to the self-checkout and lady with a Target employee approached me and my girlfriend. Lady, that's him, that's your stock boy whom threatened me. Me, WTF? I don't work here lady, leave me the fuck alone. Manager, looking nonplussed, you don't work here. Nope, this chick started bothering me then grabbed me. GF, he doesn't work here. Don't you lie to me. You were stocking shelves and told me where to get dog food. Leave me alone or we're gonna have real problems. How about I call the police and tell them how you just threatened me? I fucking dare you. I show her my ID badge, let's see how that works out for you. I should mention the PD I worked for is in the same town as Target. The manager takes the opportunity and just says, have a nice evening and motions the woman away, and she follows. She just sort of gaped at me when she saw that I was in fact, not an employee of Target, but of the police department she was going to call on me. To be honest with you OP, I do not understand why people just assume people are lying when they say I don't work here. What does an employee gain by lying? Thanks for watching today's video. If you liked the video you watched you can subscribe to my channel and like the video for more Reddit videos.